Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Looking at Gotham episodes, what, 12
and 13.
What the Little Bird Told Him, and welcome back, Jim Gordon. We're back from Sundance, Alonzo, Bibbs, and Francis. Let's have a look.
I love the name. The Electrocutioner.
Jack Gruber is out there. I know how he thinks. I know what he'll do next. And that means you need me.
I'm gonna make my move on Falcone.
Fish, you sly devil.
Butler's killer is a cop. Not proven. You really want to work with a murderer?
I'm so very glad you called, Jim Gordon.
I need a favor.
So, okay, all right, let's break these down one by one. All right, so the first one, we have the Electrocutioner, as he is now dubbed, out of Arkham.
Such a silly villain.
This seems like one of those sort of self-contained, you know, villain of the week episodes.
The villain of the week aspect was self-contained, but that was actually, that was an episode that I was like, finally, a lot of the stuff that I've just been kind of getting like impatient about finally came to head in that episode with the Penguin and Fish Mooney and Carmine Falcone finding out that he's been gamed and having a great reaction, just really bringing himself back into the game, becoming a murderous bastard, and just shaking up what was ultimately, I thought, sort of the least interesting status quo on the show.
He regained his cojones, and I was all behind it.
Falcone's cojones.
But the Electrocutioner...
Sounds like a
A
terrible
rejected
restaurant.
title for this episode.
Sounds like a terrible restaurant.
The Electrocutioner, like, the end of it literally was like someone throwing a glass of water in my face. Like,
It was like, I think they were going for irony, but
if he had said,
just
"I'm melting, what a world," that might have been a little more.
that was definitely the problem for me in this episode. I still bought into the whole Fish Mooney's plan being found out, but I just feel like this villain of the week scenario is taken away from everything else I like about the show, and that's behind the scene gang violence that's going on. Episode 2 I felt was a little bit better. I mean, I don't even think there's much to talk about in the first episode we're reviewing, because I didn't think anything else.
Well, which is the one where Selena comes back? Was
that's
episode 2.
That's the second one.
I think we should talk about episode 2 on our sort of docket more. But I just want to say that the whole thing with I loved the dramatic bit where Falcone calls Penguin at Maroni's place, says these things are going down right now, and Penguin's like, my end game, it's finally here, and then he gets electrocuted, and then he like wakes up, it's like, I have to go see Carmine Falcone, and Maroni's like, what? And like, and like all that stuff, and he shows up late. There was this really nice, interesting, sort of unexpected bit of tension that I thought they really mined, and then I thought it paid off great. And I just thought all that stuff was fantastic, but all the Electrocutioner stuff was just sort of, another villain of the week, but it was nice to see Gordon come back, his whole relationship with the commissioner, obviously that's going to be real important.
Peter Scolari joining the cast.
And we are finally at the point, which is now this is the stuff I like about Gotham most, and it was the stuff I kind of liked about Gotham most, but now we're just confronting it head on, which is the sort of high noon aspect of Gordon being the one good cop and finally starting to get just a teensy bit of support. And so everything feels like a major victory when he actually helps him cover corruption.
And the second episode where he finally was able to arrest Flass and like the other cops seemed to be on his side.
But
it feels like
the ending of it was like Gary Oldman, Joseph Gordon-Levitt scene when they're like sitting and he's like, you have to plunge your hands into the filth in order to keep yours clean or whatever, but it was very a lot less dramatic than that, but you can tell that he's actually, that's the only kind of storyline that I'm liking at the moment in depth is his morality, the morality of Jim Gordon, what he has to do to try and get things done, and then I would love in the next few episodes for him to actually pay consequence for this, because then it would give me something to believe in, that all his actions aren't all squeaky clean.
Like he might be stakes.
That moment of guilt on his eyes was such a great cliffhanger.
I love that ending where the at what cost ending is like, so he realizes this is not going to be that all the morals and high ground in the world eventually they're not all going to see him through this, with a clean slate. So it's funny, just looking at the graphic behind us where it's constantly raining. I at some point during I was watching these 2 episodes back to back, and I thought, oh my God, this show is so blue all the time. I want there to be an episode where the sun comes out and everybody literally just goes, What is that?
I want to literally have a call with the writer who makes up the names for the villains, like the Uptown Assassins. Is that Bruno Mars is named that or something like that? I don't understand. The Uptown Assassins.
I don't know if that one. I don't remember. I should have looked it up if that one was from the comics. There's things about the villains and sort of the way that they're sort of bringing in some of the iconography.
The henchmen are not intimidating one bit. Like
but I love
apart from Zaz.
I love Zaz's crew. Robert Palmer crew.
I was going to say the Spice Girls behind him.
But here's the thing: they don't talk. But he's always with them.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that was just like, did they hang out?
Yeah.
Did they ever like go see a movie
They
together?
go for the mani-pedis.
Do you want to go get some lunch? I had a really bad day with my boyfriend, and Zaz is like really helpful.
They did say, like, should we take him home and play with? So I imagine that there's some weird thing
I want to
going
see
on.
their apartment, they're all live together.
So can we talk about Butch, the magician, the James Bond? Like, one gets out of the back at the van just easily when they're catching Butch. Like, Butch, he just comes out of nowhere, and he's there, and he turns into this James Bond villain that knows how to basically evade every single task that's there, and he's Fishmoney's protector. I didn't understand how he got out of the van in the first place.
When they showed those two guys in the front of the van, I thought, ooh, red shirts.
Yeah, Falcone needs new henchmen because they're always getting found out. Like, you've got the torturer who just gets easily discarded, and then the two guys in the van. So for a big, no wonder people are trying to take him down because his crime family doesn't seem to be too intimidating.
Yeah,
I think.
I will say I like Fish Mooney a lot better now that she has no power. There's something about her character, like her sense of bravado when it was entitled, when she actually sort of owned it, was just sort of, I don't know, it was fun, but it wasn't terribly interesting. Yeah. Now that she's like the woman scorned, now that she's got to fight to get it back, I'm liking her character, I'm liking her relationship with her henchman more, and it really just makes me excited to see where she's going to go as opposed to, Fish again, God damn it.
I'm kind of into her. I mean, she's no Eartha Kitt, but, you know, there is a certain sort of, I'm glad that she's in there because I think she adds a certain energy that nobody else has, that this is such a guy show. Yeah. And even like Gordan's immediate supervisor, you know, she's a woman, but she's very much the kind of, you know, pantsuit cop / judge, you know, that we see on a lot of these shows. Fish, I think, at least brings a little something more diabolical, a little something more kind of like she's reveling in this in a way that the male mobsters don't get to.
And speaking of female characters, the appearance of Ivy this episode was very small, but I liked the way that they sort of introduced these characters very clumsily, these characters from the comics. Yeah. And now it's just having her just show up in one scene, not even really doing that much. It's building like this sense of community, where it feels like Gotham City as opposed to a bunch of characters who have an episode in Gotham City, and I'm liking that, and she's a funny actress.
Well, but Barbara, on the other hand, what the hell was that?
On the complete opposite spectrum, you've got Barbara dropped into her, basically her disregarded life where her family doesn't care about her. Like, what was the need for that? I don't understand
They never even closed that loop. It's like she shows up and then it's never brought up again.
The actress who plays her mum, she was also in Gossip Girl and plays a very good bitch in that as well. So I can see she does.
She's in the bitch file of the CW.
She's bitchy in Gossip Girl, so she's probably going to play that role in this.
I am looking forward to, I'm really loving the sort of Edward Nygma plot where it started off as just kind of like this cute, kind of like, oh, he's so awkward and Asperger's-y and like, where's he going to go with this? And now I'm imagining this can only end in that woman's murder. Yeah. Like, this is going to end in them really creepy, like him becoming like a serial killer.
So was the Riddler, is he a cold-blooded murderer? I thought
it depends on the interpretation. There have been different versions of the Riddler over the years. Some are very playful. Yeah. Some are very dark and serious. There's even one I really liked where the Riddler actually sort of gave up a life of crime and became Gotham's second greatest detective. But he was like really a hog of the limelight. He just wanted the attention. But he was really good at it, actually.
I like to think that Miss Kringle will become this Riddler's Harley Quinn, but who knows?
That would be kind of fun.
I don't want to see her.
I don't know. It just seems like all of this humiliation of Nygma and knowing that Nygma will eventually become a villain is just like, maybe he won't like just flat out become the Riddler, but I'm thinking maybe he would like kill her. And because he's so smart, and because he's also working in the forensics department, maybe he gets away with it, and that's like the sort of thing that maybe could lead on later, and then that would just add this sort of weird, just terrible undercurrent to every interaction he has. And they just never talk about it again. That'd just be cool. I don't know, I'm speculating, I just think it'd be neat.
I think that for me, my final point on it is that in the second episode compared to the first, is that they actually had some human connection with people who are being killed. Because I think far too often they just disregard people that are being killed. Yes, it is Gotham and like violence does happen, but when you're seeing the witness brought in and he was just suddenly cold-bloodedly killed, and then they brought in his wife, it gave like you as a viewer like the motive to watch on and see how Jim Gordon goes, rather than just someone, oh, he's killed, disregarded, we'll just see what happens.
Right, and I think doubly the notion of how is anybody going to trust GCPD if they can't feel like they can be safe in the building? You know.
Yeah. No.
And
it's good drama.
I'm a longtime Dash Mahok fan, so glad to see him working.
I like it. He's good casting for Flash. He was just one of the legendary. He was a major hurdle for Jim Gordon in Batman Year One. He was like the symbol of the corruption that ultimately Jim Gordon couldn't take down through the right means, and he just had to like beat him half to death on the street.
Nice.
So I actually thought they were going to stretch that out longer, and maybe they are. Maybe they're going to find a way to do it because he's a good actor.
Yeah, I'm sure we haven't seen the last of him.
I hope not. He's really, really fun.
And I always love seeing Carol Kane as Mrs.
Coupleput. I could have sworn I was like, Fish is going to show up and kill Penguin's mom.
I thought that would be a good way to get your own back.
There's no way we can afford to keep Carol Kane on the show for this long. Like, there's got to be an end game involved.
I'm sure she has reasonable rates. You know, this show has actually, and I'm not saying that as a slam on her. I love her. This show, I've said it before. I love the guest stars they bring in. They really have kind of created this really cool ensemble. I mean, Christ, I'm still reeling over the fact that Lily Taylor was like a psychopath.
With Frank Whaley, which is great casting. Yeah, the show is really starting to grow on me.
For season 2, right?
What was that?
It's also been renewed for season 2.
So
I'm sure they've got some funding.
We'll be back. We'll be doing this for quite a while, basically, is long and short of it. So, thank you for watching.
Yeah, we had to kind of cram 2 in this week, but we'll be back next week with episode by episode recaps. Come back.